Why do I have the Battle Royale script open? That is weird. Yeah, okay, we're good. Okay. Did I do the here? And I'm gonna do the here. Tell me when we're about to go, so I'll send it then. Okay. Oh. Hello, and welcome to the Doof Book Club, our monthly live stream discussion of a book chosen by you, our listeners. My name is Matt Freeman, and joining me, as always, is my bastard apprentice.
Hey, that's kind of mean. That's kind of
Well,
mean.
I'm not calling you that.
But but you just did.
You're very competent and skilled. It's just you know.
Thank you. Hey everyone, happy Friday. It is the first week. Matt's voice sounds possessed. Matt's echoing. You shouldn't be echoing.
Say something. Test test.
Oh, that's because my speaker right here was on. That's good. That should be fixed now.
That'll do it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna keep talking for a second just to make sure that calms down.
I think it should be good. It was definitely my speaker was on. Yeah, Matt shaved his mustache. I'm sorry, everybody. Hey, folks. Sorry for the rough start here. I see a lot of familiar faces already. I see John, Aqua, Carson, Liam. Welcome, welcome. Happy Friday. Hope everyone is doing great. If you happen to be listening to this after the fact, or if you were just quietly, silently there in the background listening, still doing it, still echoing. That don't make no sense.
Yeah. I don't think I'm doing anything different. Is it Zencaster somehow?
It shouldn't be. Zencaster is not capturing any. Because then I would be hearing you echo. Are you sure you just don't have two versions of the stream open?
Uh, I hear the echo too when I unmute the stream. So
Well, that's annoying.
yeah, I am using the voice. That's true, but
Oh, I got it.
Okay.
It should be good now. Hold on.
Okay.
Oop, now it should be good. Talk again.
Yes. See, I was using the skill while also talking at the same time.
I forgot.
So consequently,
So what happened, folks, is that they made Skype go away, and Skype was how we used our NDI to pull Matt's audio or to pull Matt's video in directly, and we can't do that anymore. So we're using Discord now, and literally just a monitor share, like you can see when I highlight over it. That's just Discord right there. So I had my own audio for Discord and my just general audio, and it was picking up both. So sorry, all fixed.
yep.
But hey, we're here to talk about a book.
Let's do that.
Yeah, we're here to club some books. Like I was trying to say before everything got messed up. If you were hanging out in the background listening, and you've never seen us before, maybe you stumbled upon this due to the wiles of the algorithm. Hello, and welcome to the Doof Book Club. We are Doof Media. We are part of Doof Media. We try to make podcasts talking about all the stories we love. We also do this here book club. Matt, explain what a book club is while I chastise people for being mad at me for liking Skype. I don't like Skype. Just give me a program that's free that allows me to take an NDI of a video. Riddle me this, folks. Riddle me this.
Yeah. Well, anyway, each month, Scott and I select 5 books from a pool submitted to us by our wonderful Doof community. We put up a poll for all of our supporters over on Patreon at patreon.com/doofmedia and let them vote on which they would like us to talk about. The book with the most votes wins, and then we all read it.
And then we meet up here sometimes at the end of the month, sometimes the first Friday of the month, and we spend some time talking about the book. So that's what we're going to be doing right now. Normally, at this point, we would also put out a poll for next month's book and let you folks that are listening live here vote on that. But we like to do a thing called We Pick 'em, which is every 6 months we allow ourselves to just pick the books, and it's Matt's turn. I forgot to write down the book Matt picked, so at the end of the show, he will just tell you. It's like... gear up, everyone. It's the most Matt choice that's ever been Matt chosen in the history of Matt. So it's very exciting.
Yeah, but it is a Matt book that Matt has not read, which is kind of a contradiction.
That is true. But like, you sent me the name of the book, I Googled it, and I laughed out loud.
You're like, this is just like someone took all of the Matt keywords and wrote them in a summary. Yeah,
exactly. So look forward to that announcement at the end of the show. But first, we have to talk about this month's book. And Matt, what book are we talking about today?
Today we're talking about Assassin's Apprentice by Robin Hobb. And the summary of that book is as follows. In a faraway land where members of the royal family are named for virtues they embody, one young boy will become a walking enigma. Born on the wrong side of the sheets, Fitz, son of chivalry Farseer, is a royal bastard cast out into the world, friendless and lonely. Only his magical link with animals, the old art known as the wit, gives him solace and companionship. But the wit, if used too often, is a perilous magic and one abhorred by the nobility. So when Fitz is finally adopted into the royal household, he must give up his old ways and embrace a new life of weaponry, scribing, courtly manners, and how to kill a man secretly as he trains to become a royal assassin.
Sure. I'll take that summary. Where did that summary come from? I don't think I pulled it from Goodreads, but I just want to see if it's on the back of the book. No. This one's very different.
It's weird because it picks a weird selection of things to emphasize, I guess. But yeah, technically all correct, you know?
Yeah, I think putting the wit in the summary was an interesting choice. Not that that's...
Since it's such a... Yeah. It's such a minor part of this book, really.
Yeah, but it's like, you can tell it's setting things up for the future. But anyway, Matt, talk to me about Assassin's Apprentice. Obviously, you had never read this before. What did you think about it? And while Matt is doing that, folks in the chat, let me know. What do you think of this book?
I never read this book. I never read any Robin Hobb books. And I really enjoyed this book. This it has that more kind of slow-paced slice of life psychological depth that I really like. Consequently, it was a lot, it was a lot less fast-paced and action-packed than I maybe was expecting. I think maybe just based on like the title of the Assassin's Apprentice and the, maybe the cover art and just the way some people have described it as comparable to the Wheel of Time. For some reason, I was like, oh, okay, so this is going to be like, a fantasy adventure novel. And it's not that it's entirely not that, but there's a lot more emphasis on the mundane trials and tribulations of this character. It's like, yes, we have the whole arc where he learns to use the superpower, but it feels very grounded. It feels very low stakes in a good way, where like the stakes are like this one kid and how miserable it feels to be rejected by people who you care about. Not like, I mean, by the end we kind of get some higher stakes, obviously, but that's really the very last part of the book, and none of that is a criticism. I actually enjoyed that quite a bit. There were a lot of great characters, a lot of great side characters, a lot of great drama. I don't know, just a really solid book. I'm kind of kind of wish I had read it when I was younger, but it just never crossed my path for whatever reason. So,
Yeah.
what did you think, Scott?
Yeah, so just for a little bit of background, I remember years and years ago, on our Discord, there was a group of people that wanted to do like, because our book club wasn't enough for them, they needed more. They wanted to do like a periodic like community book club thing, and Robin Hobb's Assassin's Apprentice was like the first book that they picked. I don't know where that ever went because I said I wanted to participate and then quickly fell behind and just didn't. I don't know if they ever finished the book or not. I read the first chapter and then life got in the way. But I'm so glad we got to come back to this book now. I adored this book. I loved my time with it. This book is like a warm blanket to me. It is like the reason I like fantasy. Every part of like what I like about fantasy storytelling was in this book, and it just was an absolute pleasure to read. I loved it. Am I going to call it like my favorite book of all time? Probably not, but like I am anxious and excited to continue to dive into this trilogy and to continue to explore Robin Hobb because I just enjoyed her writing so much. There's
Mhm.
so much to love in this novel, I think. So I'm very glad we got to read it.
Yeah, I think one way to describe my experience with it was it took me a few days of stopping and starting on the audiobook to kind of adjust to the pace that we were going to be striking
Sure.
because it was a little bit more internal and slow paced than I was expecting. And then once it hooked me, which happened relatively quickly, then I basically just blew through it in like a day. Consequently, my memory of it might not be as good as it could be. So, apologies if I missed something because I did read it closer to the start of the month. Because that, I basically, I mentioned that because it's always like I could basically go through all of the books we've ever covered. And it's like if I finish them close to the start of the month, that means that they really grabbed me. And if I squeak in just under the wire before book club, that means it probably didn't grab me and I probably didn't like it very much. So this is one of the ones where I definitely rushed my way through it.
Sure. I definitely remember I think it was like August 10th and you're like, "Well, I finished the book." I was like, "Wait a
Mhm.
minute. We have so much more time to go." So that yeah.
Yeah.
I would be lying if it didn't take me a little bit of time to get into it. I think the first 50 pages was probably my slowest amount of time with the book.
Hmm.
But that's just cuz I kind of hadn't settled into the vibe of the book quite yet. And then once I did, I really tore through it. It is no reflection of mine that I always wait to the very last minute to read these books. I finished this book on Wednesday, and I really only started it on. I guess I technically started it last Thursday, but I really didn't get those first 50 pages until like Sunday, and so really
Hmm.
like I don't tell my boss, but Tuesday at work did not get a lot of work done because I was sneaking off multiple times to spend a good half hour 45 minutes just reading this book because I was like it's not even because I was like worried about finishing in time. It was just like I don't want to do anything right now but read this book. So um I think one thing that I think as we get into the details of it that I might struggle with is like actually how to talk about this book because I really liked it. I liked all the characters. I'm really fascinated by the world and intrigued by where it's going, but I don't have like a lot of intelligent things to say, and I think we'll just kind of feel our way through it as we
Yeah.
often do. But I like a lot of times I sit down before these things and I have like an internal list, or sometimes I actually write my notes down. Sometimes of what I want to say, and really the only thing I kept thinking was just how much I liked it. So
Yeah. I guess I'll start with kind of some reactions. I think I'll start with the thing that I felt was unique about it, where it is doing it belongs to the category of coming of age,
sure.
magical young person finding their way in the world stories. And I think typically you kind of expect those to end on kind of a high note where it's like, and then they mastered the thing, and then they learned the lesson, and the lesson was good and life affirming, and they won. And then maybe if it's a series, then it's like, but there was still the shadow on the horizon. But with their close friends and compatriots, they would face that shadow. But like this is so not that in so many important ways because Fitz he remains a powerless um and an unfortunate, kid this entire time.
Mm-hmm.
He makes a lot of important mistakes. He basically screws up, and I don't like blame him for this because it was like an impossible situation, but other than the fact that he does succeed in foiling his uncle's plan to, take over the kingdom, he doesn't particularly play that situation well. Like there's a lot of, loss that happens there, I would say. Um, so specifically what I mean is like he's like, I'm going to very cleverly go talk to the prince and save the prince, and then the prince is killed. Still, it stops nothing basically.
I actually
Um,
adored that entire sequence because yeah, like the book lets him be confident and lets him be skilled and lets him be really good at the things he does, while also still kind of blundering his way through things at times. Because and that's a perfect example. Like he walks in there, he makes a big show of clearly putting the poison in the prince's cup in front of him, letting him see it, and it's like, oh, he's got this thing on lock, and then
mm,
he drinks from his cup and is like, oh fuck.
yeah, right, right. I
um,
think part of it that's like subtextual is like he's never smoked whatever this. Yeah, I mean it's sort of it's like weed basically.
yeah.
Like he's never smoked this stuff before, and he's been like secondhand, hotboxing it the entire evening. So he's like not thinking straight. Actually, that's never quite stated outright, but I think that's the subtext of a lot of what's happening there.
Yeah, yeah.
But again, I think my point here, what I'm trying to kind of solidify is like it really always felt like, oh, this is just like as competent as this kid is, he's still just a kid. He has no life experience. He's making all of his mistakes for the first time. He's he barely gets out of it due to luck, and then on the whole, he still has this very low position in society. It just made it all feel very grounded. And I like what a bird just said in the chat. Like it's more like a Wizard of Earthsea. It feels more like a Wizard of Earthsea than anything else I can think of
Mm-hmm.
in the um yeah, I'm just gonna read a bird's thought here. It's critical of the idea of a teenage magic boy protagonist's emotional capacity to handle the world he's becoming a player in. Well said. I agree. He's not. Yeah. He's not like a wish fulfillment protagonist. Um,
No, and
he,
it's like that's so fascinating, right? Because he's like in many ways he's like he is he's not well off, but he's well taken care of. He's got magic powers. He's getting to train with a really cool dude. Like it's all these cool things, but yeah, I think underneath all that is this incredible feeling of powerlessness and being overwhelmed
mhm.
by the machinations of the world around him. And oftentimes he gets so wrapped up in the different pieces of the things he's doing that we only get a very like cursory glimpse of actually the things that are going on around him, because and I think Hobb does a really great job with this many times throughout the book, where she gives us the reader enough information to kind of develop this idea of what the greater world is and what's happening in it, but her character is not paying attention to that kind of stuff, and so he's missing it, but we're getting it. There's actually a lot of instances in this book where she does something similar to that, where she reveals something but Fitz misses it. Like one of the things that I caught specifically is like Chade tells Fitz that he's also a bastard, like pages and pages and pages before Fitz goes, "Hey, wait, you're a bastard too?" Like it's dozens of pages. Like when he says, I think it's something so matter of factly like, "Yeah, when you're a bastard like us." And Fitz just totally misses it. Like he just totally doesn't clock it. He doesn't notice it. And I love that. I love that because I picked up on it. Was like, oh, that makes sense. And I kind of already did in my head. I was like, I bet he's like the brother of the king or something.
Mhm.
And then the book goes on and eventually reveals that to you. But I just think it's very clever in the way that it does that kind of dramatic irony level thing where it like I think the best example of that is everything with Galen, where he kind of mind fucks with him in a way that makes him think he's shitty
Yeah.
at the skill, and you're reading this and you're like, no, dude, like you're what is going, like you immediately can clock he's been messed with and forced to believe this about him because you were just reading pages before where he was confident and in control of it, and I think it's just very, very well done.
Yeah. Another thing that a bird says is that the emotional palette has a lot of stuff that's not fun or pleasant.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
yeah, there's just a lot of him losing and suffering and feeling legitimate and like painfully relatable sources of suffering. Where yeah, I've never been, in a classroom where there was a teacher trying to teach me how to use my magical psychic powers, but like I think we've all been in situations that are somewhat relatable. And yeah, I think I don't know if I want to be literal in saying that this was literally what Robin Hobb did, but it does feel like taking a lot of really relatable scenarios from growing up that almost everyone experiences, and then just like turning them up a couple notches with genre conceits, and then that's kind of the book, right?
yeah. Well,
um
and it's swimming in the tropes of the genre. That's kind of what I meant by it's like a warm blanket. Like it's like everything in it is recognizable to me,
mm,
but it never in a way that makes it feel less impactful or less powerful. Like, I mean, a great example is like Fitz goes through the skill training and fails, and like you, the reader, kind of, you've read enough books to know like, well, he's not just gonna like not use the skill for the rest of the story. Like that's not how these stories work. But it almost doesn't matter that you kind of can metagame what's going to possibly happen because you're there with the character in the moments of feeling disappointed and devastated and hurt and useless. It just works.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's well said. I mean, all the skill, but also the wit with the animals. Like that was one of the things that surprised me. Is you're like, okay, well, obviously there's going to be a badass scene where you know his direwolf saves him, and it's like, no, I mean, kind of, but it's actually just sad, right? Where
Yeah.
the other dog, he meets the dog again. Like God, it's so
Nosy comes back
he
and then
he
promptly sacrifices himself for, yeah.
exactly. That's like
Yeah.
the perfect way of encapsulating the emotional tone this book strikes. Is we think that what would otherwise have been a beloved character kills the dog in the first few pages, which makes us dislike him and makes Fifth dislike him. Then much later learn that he never killed the dog, and that all of this resentment and difficulty between what should have been a good, positive mentor-mentee relationship was actually poisoned by misunderstanding. And then the dog sacrifices his life to save him, and you're just like, ah.
So sad. Yeah.
I I will say, I mean, I don't know, I kind of want to get reactions to this because I really genuinely enjoyed this book. It moved me quite a bit. It hooked me. I don't know if I'm excited to read the next book in this series, literally because I'm just like, I don't know if my heart can take it. Like, there's such a thing as a book that affects me too much, and I like this is by the way, this is why I've read Tana French's books over such a spread out period of time, as I love them so much, but they always just gut me, and I have to recover.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I am.
Yeah, I am so ready and willing to dive in. I think we have so much to read this month for our various other obligations already that the odds of me having the bandwidth to read these next two books in this trilogy for fun over the course of the next month is pretty low. But if I had free time, I would dive into them. I don't know, like I agree that these books make me feel things, but like it my I that's what I go to reading for. So like I'm all about it. Like crush me, break me, destroy me. Let's do it.
Yeah. I like Gray's comment here is Fitz being maneuvered into being a nosy, and this goes along with what you were saying a minute ago about like us being aware of more things than Fitz is aware of,
Hmm.
because like I was sort of like outraged at various points because I'm like, okay, obviously, first of all, the Farseer kingdom are monsters. Um, the king is awful. The king is a Machiavellian monster. These people really would just they would kill someone rather than negotiate.
Matt, he's just shrewd. Okay, he's just
He's
shrewd.
yeah, sure. I mean, he sure is, right? Like it was so bad that I was honestly at various points I was like I was getting real galaxy brain. So a couple of thoughts that I had that I'll just list them so you can kind of laugh at me. I was like,
Okay.
okay, chivalry is definitely not dead. Chivalry's obviously the actual person behind the red ships and is actually the villain.
Okay.
Because and then then it's like, well, maybe chivalry's dead, but the king is probably creating a situation where he forces this dire crisis so that he can consolidate his power over these other kingdoms that he doesn't have power over yet. So probably the red ships. I just kept like assuming the worst and assuming like more Machiavellian scheming. And like that mentality ends up being somewhat right because it does turn out that literally one of the princes is scheming to overthrow a kingdom and betray the king
Murder his
and
brother. Yeah, 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 yeah.
just do a bunch of just do the worst stuff imaginable. And so that's bad in a kind of overt way that Fitz notices, but I think he still, even at the end of this book, doesn't notice that Shrewd is also a monster. um I stand by that, actually. I mean, I think we're not meant to think like Shrewd is this honorable, cool guy. He's very dark, actually.
Yeah, I mean, like, he has these assassins that work for him that just go out and kill people that get in their way, and it's like, I mean, it's interesting what Fitz realizes and what Fitz doesn't, because like the order to go to the Mountain Kingdom and assassinate the prince was just like, oh yeah, he just says maybe we could have 7 duchies instead of 3, or instead of
Right.
6, and like it's just this practical problem solving thing. But yeah, if you're willing to do that, like what are you not willing to do?
Yeah.
So yeah, he's not a good guy, and I agree with you. I think chivalry is alive somewhere. I don't know if I'm prepared to say chivalry is behind the red ship stuff, but obviously, like, we are being led to go and to understand that there's something much more sinister going on here, and it's not just, oh, these damn outlanders are just raiding us again, and now they've developed this new method of destroying our people. Yeah, it's something much more evil and monstrous than that. Yeah.
Yeah. We talk about the red ships for a second, or the red, are they called the red ships? I forget.
The yeah,
Um,
the Red Raider. I don't know. Red Raiders is
the
a college. Sorry, that's Texas
yeah,
Tech. I don't think they're them.
yeah,
Just
yeah, the
throw
Red Raiders.
tortillas at them. That'd be fine.
Okay, yeah.
Um.
Um, I love that as a nightmarish fantasy concept. I
Mhm.
immediately, as soon as we understood, like I was pleasantly perplexed by the threat of like, if you don't bribe us, if you bribe us, we'll kill the hostages. If you don't bribe us, we'll send them back. I was like, ooh, that's creepy. What does that mean?
Mhm.
And then it like lives up to the hype of being like, yeah, we're gonna send them back, and they're gonna have all manner of like conscience and fellow feeling and empathy and everything good about humanity is gonna be burned out of them, and they're just basically pure liabilities to have around from
Yeah.
then on. And and like all you can do with them is either just kill them outright, which is very hard because they're like the friends and relatives of the people in the area, or like keep them alive but like as a permanent burden on your society.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like that struck me as just like, wow, that's messed up. I love that.
It is. It's a deliciously terrible concept. I love it. I'm assuming we'll eventually learn where this is coming from. I'm sure it has something to do with a combination of the wit and the skill, and whatever that is, that what's being done to these people. But I really like that. I I also love that they're called Forged. Like the world building in this series is so solid that, like, just like, yeah, that it happened by the town of Forge the first time, and so society just adopted calling them Forged. It just felt so believable and real that this is how
Mm.
we would handle this kind of thing.
It does, but then also the word forged also kind of means faked, and it kind of feels like these are fake people.
Sure, sure.
which I also love.
Bird wants to know what we think is going on there with the red ships. I don't know. I don't know. I
Yeah, I
think
mean, right, like we have a couple of magical elements, right? Like we have like the wit and the skill, which the book doesn't quite tell us are the same or are two sides of the same coin, but I think we're meant to conclude that they're related because they're both basically just telepathy.
yeah.
And then there's also the element of like the I actually forget what they're even called because they're only mentioned a couple times, but like the ancient elven race of these lands, which is in every fantasy story.
Yeah.
And I wonder, like, it's either that they've used the skill to sort of break these people, or that would be my. I mean, that's where I lean. Honestly, is like they know how to use the skill really well, and they use the skill to take out the
Sure.
goodness of from these people. But I don't
Sure.
know.
Sure. I love, speaking of the wit, I love it. I love it as this construct that it's so wonderful that like you, the reader, are looking at this thing and going, "That's fucking cool. I wish I
Uh-huh.
could be best friends with animals that in that way." And like, and all these characters around Fitz are like, "No, no, this is very bad." Like, especially Birch is like, "No, this is very bad. This is like the worst, most disgusting possible thing you could ever do." And like you, the reader, are just like, "Yeah, but it seems like really, it seems really cool." And his best friend's a dog, and they're like,
Yeah.
it's this boy and his dog bond that I just love to death. So just keep on using that, Fitz. And we really like, Birch gives him like a few reasons why he should keep away from this, but we never really see it, right? Like
Right.
all that we've seen is this like, all that we've seen is like the good sides of having this power and using this power. Like it's saved him on multiple occasions, and so we're just kind of like, what do you mean this is awful and monstrous? Is there a dark side to this thing, or is this just a societal like rejection of this awesome stuff?
Yeah. The closest thing I could see is like it seemed like in the beginning of the story that he had kind of he wasn't talking like a developmentally appropriate amount because he kind of didn't need to talk because his best friend was a dog that he was telepathic with. And it's like, yeah, I guess if you grew up with the dog, then you might just like sort of turn into a dog and not turn into a human properly. But
Yeah, but
once that was averted,
is that the use of the magic, or is that just being isolated and
right?
your only companion is a dog? Like,
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it struck me as a sort of irrational prejudice sort of thing.
yeah,
But it's unclear, right? Maybe there is some huge downside to it. I It's interesting. The book, I don't know if the book prompts this or if I just, you know, have read a lot of other books, but I was like, okay, so does everyone who has the skill also has the wit and they just don't use it because they're, not supposed to because it's vulgar or whatever, or it's frowned upon?
yeah,
Or is Fitz unique in having both the skill and the wit? And which wouldn't be surprising because he's like your, fantasy protagonist, but we don't really do anything with that. We don't do nothing with it, obviously. There are times in the story when he uses both of these abilities, but
yeah,
it's not like and that's fine. Like it's clearly we're building these setting elements so that we can culminate in something, in a few books.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
Yeah, Liam mentions it saved him, but look how he acted as New Boy. I don't know. Like again, maybe I'm reading into things, but like as New Boy, he acted like a kid. Like he's just like being a kind of wild child. And like, is that because of the thing he was doing with Nosy, or was that just because he was a wild, unchaperoned child who had like had no one to teach him how to behave?
yeah.
So yeah.
Um,
Um, yeah, I mean, so one thing I do love, speaking of that, is like the cast of characters that Hobb puts around this guy, right? Like he is
yeah.
oftentimes incredibly alone, and feels this kind of very acute loneliness. But like, I just love he has this constant group of people looking out for him, wanting to take care of him. It starts with Birch. We have Chade in there as well, Fool eventually, and then by the end of the book, Verity, who I did not expect to be another character with real concern and compassion for him. And I like all these characters are so well defined. I mean, Birch is like, I love him. I love him.
hmm
Um,
Yeah. Yeah. I want to go through all those. That's actually how I thought would be the natural way to structure this conversation. Although I think it's fine that we hit the points we hit at this point. Just the various characters. I love all these side characters.
They
I
feel so like full to me. Like they're just like
yeah
I can see them. Like I have emotional attachment to each of them.
yeah.
Yeah.
And they each have like like sort of a loving mentoring paternal relationship toward this, you know, like orphan, not quite orphan, but close enough, abandoned child. And they're all different relationships because they're all different men. And I like that a lot. Like it's a it's a great book to reach for if you're looking for like male mentorship, warmth between men sort of situations. Although
Yeah.
of course there are misunderstandings and there are tragedies, sort of micro tragedies sprinkled throughout, but um, on the whole, sort of heartwarming in that way. There's the whole, just for example, like the part where Chade kind of tests him by ordering him to steal from the king, and then he doesn't. He refuses to, and Chade like you know goes dark on him for, I forget if it's like a week or what, but it's like the darkest time in Fitz's life, because like the one person who he feels like at that point in his life really loves and cares about him and is sort of giving him a door out of his disappointing humdrum existence, is shutting him off. And we later learn that this is actually at the king's insistence, which makes us like the king even less, obviously.
Yeah.
um
Yeah, and I love when he takes the knife within view of the
mhm.
king, and just like I love that. That's like
Yeah.
his one like pushback. I push back against the king. So that whole thing, here I go. It reminded me of an episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. There's an episode of Buffy where there's this rite of passage when the Slayer turns 18. She has to be tested, and her test is they temporarily drain her of her powers and then lock her in a house with like this really strong, really crazy vampire. And the way her power is drained is by her watcher, who was like her paternal figure, like hypnotizes her and then give her shots that temporarily remove her power. And it's this real like betrayal by the person that is supposed to be looking out for you. And I felt a lot of that in when Chade like was forced to test him in this way.
Mhm.
This kind of very specific kind of awful betrayal of an established relationship between the two of them, that
Mhm.
it made me so sad. And yeah, I mean, like the king in this instance is like the council in Buffy, that they're ordering it and he must acquiesce. And it goes to kind of like, once they get through that and that damages their relationship and they make it through, it kind of serves to tighten their relationship and really pull, I think, both Chade and Fitz closer together and further away from the king, in
Yeah,
a really powerful way.
which is pretty interesting because they're both very loyal to the king in this formal sense, but I don't know that either of them likes the king very much. But that's because he's kind of unapproachable, and
No,
he cultivates this distance.
he's just shrewd.
Yes, he's very shrewd.
Imagine picking the name Shrewd. So okay, correct. Like, it seems like it's not. I'm not clear on if once the person themselves picks their official formal name, or it's picked for them by their parents.
I'm not sure either. I think um I don't think we got an answer on this actually.
Because it
I
felt
mean,
like it felt like Chivalry's name was not picked by Chivalry, but maybe I'm just misunderstanding that.
I don't know. I feel like maybe it's picked at a certain coming of age point or something like that.
Yeah,
Just a guess. The book doesn't tell us, I don't think.
sure. I do like how all these people reflect different sides of him, right? You have Burrich, who reflects. I think Burrich, ironically, reflects the wit side, right? The animals and that
Mm.
kind of wilder but tougher side. Um,
Which which he's totally using the wit. I love this last minute reveal of the story where he's like, "Wait a minute, Burrich, you can feel what the animals feel," and he's like, "Well, yeah, but like I don't like
I
do it
don't
on
I don't
purpose,
like
so it's
use
fine."
it. I just like
Yeah,
feel it, so it's fine. It's
right,
fine.
right. I love that. It's amazing.
And then Chade represents the secretive side of him, um, the fool. I don't know what's up with fantasy books and having like weird jester characters be like. I kept thinking about Brandon Sanderson's characters. Brandon Sanderson's, I forget what the character is named in his books, but
I think he's named Wit actually.
Wit. Yeah, it's Wit. You're
Um,
right. You're right.
See, I was thinking about Patchface in Song of Ice and Fire, where he's like a, mad tattooed jester who speaks in riddles, some of which are actually prophecies of things that happen later in the book. If you pay
Why do we
attention,
love this shit so much? What is it with
I,
the court jester being prophetic and wise?
yeah. Is there some kind of like Shakespeare reference here that I'm not aware of?
It could be.
It does feel very like I don't know. There's probably some original thing that we're all referencing here.
And honestly, like one of the things I love most about this book is it batters down my trope savvy defenses sometimes, because I saw the fool character come in, and then I saw the fool character give a prophecy, and I rolled my eyes at it. Like that was my initial gut reaction, was to roll my eyes at it. And then god damn it, he won me over by the end of it. Like it won me over.
I think he won me over perfectly in the one scene where he goes to talk to Fitz, and he's saying something which is like a highly complex punny rhyming message or something. I forget what it is. I actually was sitting here trying to look it up while we were talking a minute ago because I love it so much. And Fitz just thinks that he's babbling nonsense because he thinks he's an invalid, and then suddenly clicks that he's actually not only not an invalid, but that he's like a genius, and that he's like whimsically delivering this message in just a weird way because that's how he is.
Is that the one where he ends up helping the dog? Like, is that the first one where like the rhyme is about how he's gonna help the dog by feeding it, or by using fat to get the bone out of its mouth? Like that's like I think the first time he delivers him like
that suffices.
Yeah. I loved that. I don't know, maybe I missed the line, but there was never a moment, I don't think, where I remember Fitz going, "Oh my god, the weird random nonsense he told me, I just did exactly that." I don't remember. I don't think so.
Fitz fixes Feist's fits. Fat suffices.
Yeah.
And he thinks he's just saying like fancy, foosy. and I that was like the funniest moment in the book to me.
It was great.
But I love this character. I mean, that's one thing. Like the character of Fool is I'm just constantly like, okay, something really interesting is going on with this character, and I have no idea what yet.
I actually think when Fool won me over is when, well, first of all, when he agrees to take care of the dog while Fitz is training with the terrible Galen. Loved that. And then when he is desperate to talk to someone and goes up to Fitz's room and sees this like this man has exquisite taste in artwork, and his room is like so lavishly decorated with everything, and you're like, oh, this guy is actually incredibly complicated, and I don't know why he's posing as whatever he's posing as, but I was like, okay, I'm in. You've won me over.
Well, and he seems mentally broken in some way that even the Fool himself doesn't understand, while still being very capable. It's like he was someone important, and then something happened to him, and now he isn't quite the same man, and it's all very mysterious and compelling.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just while we're going through the side characters that we love, I love that it was kind of just an unexpected treat that Chivalry's wife shows up, and Patience, and I was sort of expecting this to be like, oh, and now she's gonna, start in on Fitz and make him feel bad, and then it's way more human and nuanced than that. She's like, okay, I've decided I'm taking ownership of you, which is like simultaneously understandable and maybe not a great idea, but like I don't know, I really enjoyed her involvement in the story.
I loved Patience. I was expecting to be annoyed by this person. I think that the book kind of sets it up for you to I think the way characters describe her, they describe her as like kind of very different and a little weird and unsettling, and so you expect that, and then I don't know, you meet her and she's this poor woman who first of all, like, could not have children, and that broke her heart and destroyed her. And then lost her husband, maybe in quotes. But like she's like so desperate to like she wants, it's like she finally like is able to get over herself in that, and then like is desperate to form a bond and relationship with this kid, but doesn't really know how to do it, and so she's kind of awkward, but she wants to help it. Like, it just, the way she fumbles through it is so endearing to me. And I loved that she gave him the earring that was
Hmm.
Chivalry's, and we don't even find that out till later that Burrich gave Chivalry that earring. um
Hmm.
I loved all of it. Like, they're meeting. Like, I don't know if you did this, but this is again one of those things where Hobb really does well with dramatic irony, because the chapter title in which you meet her is called Patience, and then Fitz walks into a room and there's a strange woman there, and so us, the reader, immediately go, that's Patience, but Fitz
Hmm.
takes forever to figure it out, and so that was just that was just delightful for me too. Like, it was
Uh-huh.
just fun watching him deal with this woman not knowing who she was, and I knew, of course, who she was. I don't know, like, I just, like, this is what I mean when I talk about how just much I enjoyed this book, because I thought she was delightful. She's great. I
Yeah.
loved her.
She's great. I knew the book was working on me when he brings her the, I guess they're like watercolors or whatever. I was always slightly unclear on how the drawing works in this setting, but
It's
anyway,
drawing, so don't think
but
about
like
it.
it's okay. Well, it seemed more like watercolor, but then I wasn't really sure.
Yeah,
It
sure, it
doesn't
was
matter.
watercolors. That's what I
It
mean.
was
Who cares?
yeah. I don't know. I'm gonna keep talking about no. Um, I knew the book was working on me because I was incredibly invested in the drama of her realizing that he had done the watercolors,
Yeah,
because she was looking for some way that she could see like some level, some refinement, something of chivalry in this boy. It was like very important to her.
yeah,
All these things are like not articulated too. Like,
yeah,
I think that's the best part is her her feelings toward him and what she wants to get out of this relationship. All of this is unarticulated because it's all from Fitz's side, and Fitz doesn't understand her. But the book is clever in sort of giving us just enough information from inside his point of view that we can understand what Patience is going through and what she wants. I kind of wonder what this, like, how this book lands for much younger people. Like, if you're reading this book as a much younger kid, because I feel like I would have read it from the kids' perspective and seen the adults as like, well, they're adults, their motives are totally inscrutable, um, and like missed a lot of that. I don't know. Maybe I'm being unfair on myself because it's not like I only read books about kids when I was a kid. I read plenty of books where there were adult characters, and I think I understood them as well as can be expected. I think it's more that Fitz like conspicuously doesn't understand what's going on.
yeah,
Um, and and then like you get the experience of sort of like chuckling knowingly to yourself, uh like uh
yeah.
like just because the book is telegraphing without telling you, I guess, is what I mean.
Yeah, I mean,
um
John said they read it when he was 15, right? And
mhm,
he's saying right here that he missed a lot of it as a kid, and I think that's
mhm.
fine. We were talking on Flanagan's Wake the other day about um, how fun it is to reread books that you've read many times and watch as your experience with them and opinions about them change as you get older. And I think that's just one of those things where I think John obviously enjoyed it a lot as a kid, and it probably just for the surface level like enjoyment of it's a fun book, it's fun to read, and then the complexity of it reveals itself as it goes. I mean, I think part of this is definitely like the structural conceit of the novel is that we are with Fitz as a much older person, like
Mm,
writing down their life story.
mhm,
Um, and so it's kind of really clever in that like the way Fitz is writing down the life story is he's telling it from the first person perspective, but future Fitz is very conscious to stay true to what present day or what past version of Fitz or present day version of Fitz like would have understood and would have not understood, but also clever enough. And I mean, this is just Robin Hobb to do what you said, to put all the subtext and all the deeper meaning in between all of the lines in between of everything, and get us to understand it all, and catch on to what she's doing without Fitz himself catching on to what's going on. Yeah.
Yeah, I think well said.
Yeah.
Um,
It's just like this is that, I mean, that's like, there's a lot of great fun stuff in here, and it's well written, but like the truly brilliantness, sure, is the way she navigates that, the way she allows you to just be in it with the character while also very cleverly filling out the world around him. I think it's great. Yeah.
mhm. Yeah, that's now that you've laid it out like that, I'm kind of blown away by the difficulty level of what that is. Where it's you're absolutely right. It is written from a framing story, so the character writing the story knows where to direct our attention so that we will notice certain things
Yeah. Yeah.
because they know the story they're telling, but they're also telling it from the perspective of their child self who wasn't aware of the things that he should be noticing.
Yeah.
So you're able to put stuff together that he wasn't able to put together when he was like, 10 or whatever. I sort of unclear on what age he is at various times, but I don't think it matters. I think I understand how mature he is at least. So
I think he makes it up to 14 or 15 by the end of this book. Not
sounds about right.
entirely sure, but
Yeah.
yeah, God, I loved it. I loved it. Let's talk about Molly a little bit. We haven't talked about Molly. I already saw people in chat saying his complete swing and a miss with Molly is one of the most one of the most accurate and relatable things in the book. Completely agree. I really love every bit of it. I think my favorite part is like he's like sulky and sad and not paying attention to anything, and then at the end of the night she just goes, "Thanks for understanding," and he's like, "What? what did I? Huh? What?" Where in her mind, like he completely recognized that she really didn't want to talk about it, just wanted a night of like peace and not getting into anything and just peace and quiet and togetherness, and that's all she wanted. And he did that,
Yeah.
but that's only because he was like distracted and not really paying attention.
Right.
That's so relatable.
That's also I probably could have read this book as a 15-year-old and just been like, that was weird.
Yeah,
what did she mean by that?
and it is pretty devastating that he like can't pull the trigger, right? Like he just like gets so close with her and
Yeah.
then whiffs, and then
Right.
of course she's with someone else next time.
Yeah.
So
But he's very young, right? Like that's
yeah.
the book just very, very consistently refuses to be unrealistic in that wish fulfillment kind of way, where we get very few wins.
Yeah. I
And
mean,
like yeah,
I think a great comparison to this, which is a book series that I do really like, but it's the the Patrick Rothfuss series. What is it called?
I mean the King Killer Chronicles.
Yeah, that's the one. Where that character is designed to where he just kind of is awesome and wins at everything in a way. And you and I have talked about those books, and we think the framing of that is intentional and deliberate, and we can safely say that because the third book is never going to come out, and we will never be proven right or wrong on that.
Right. Exactly.
But this book is doing that idea, like it's very, very, very different in that it doesn't. It puts this kid in this cool fantasy situation, and as you said, it makes it so it's like it's not wish fulfillment in any way. Like he's fumbling, he's failing, he's suffering. The people that he loves turn their back on him at various points and times, and he doesn't fully understand why. He's like emotionally devastated and in over his head constantly. The king has just told a 15-year-old to travel hundreds of miles away and assassinate a prince, and he's like, what do I do? What the fuck do I do?
Yeah. Your call, man. Yeah. One other thing it has in common with King Killer is that there's a framing story where no matter what is happening in the inner story, the framing story is basically our character saying, this is a tragedy. I am so sad and burdened by my life's experiences that I'm basically a broken man.
Yeah, it doesn't. I mean, it doesn't seem like future Fitz is like Doing great.
Yeah. It's interesting in its ambiguity because my sort of just like trope assumption is like, he's probably like king or something
Mm-hmm.
in the future,
Mm-hmm.
but like it's probably cost him so much to get to that position that he, doesn't see it as a win. Like probably everyone he cares about is dead, and he's just had to suffer so much in his life, and now being a ruler is just a burden. I'm totally making this up. I have no idea what happens with this character in the future. I have not spoiled myself because I would like to read these books at some point.
I mean, one thing I definitely picked up on was that he seems like he's not like physically well either. Like
Yeah, yeah.
he seems like he's in a lot of pain and
Hmm.
is kind of having to constantly take care of himself and suffer through life. So I mean, we'll see where it goes. I'm certainly really invested. I think that is one thing that I did want to talk to you about. Um, I think Aqua is one of the only people in this chat besides us who have read the first book and only read the first book, um, and they kind of pointed out that they were surprised that this is definitely not a complete story in and of itself.
Hmm.
It is, as we know, this is the first book of a trilogy, and it is definitely the first book of a trilogy. And I'm wondering, how did that hurt your enjoyment about it? How do you feel about that ultimately? That you've got definitely have two books to go.
I don't think it hurt my enjoyment because I liked once I clicked into the thing that the story's doing, the tone, etc. I I felt like, okay, this is one of those stories that's not promising you we're gonna have a really satisfying narrative. So I think that's important, by the way. Like books make a lot of implicit promises in how they're
Mm-hmm.
structured, and all this is communicated, through a variety of subtle cues that you learn better and better how to interpret these cues, right, as you read more books. And the book was very clear that like we're not promising you a giant fantasy crescendo where Fitz is going to have a really cool sword fight that he's going to win against a warrior. It's like that's just not what this is going to be.
Yeah.
And so when it ended kind of, anticlimactically, it's not that we didn't get a climax. We got a
No.
pretty we got a relatively satisfying climax. In fact, I would even say more than I expected. I thought the idea of him managing to save Verity and defeat his teacher who he hated, that guy, killing that guy was satisfying. I was like, okay, yeah. I was more satisfaction than I was expecting it to get based on kind of how this book is written. And then it ends there, and I'm like, yeah, sure. I honestly, not only do I not mind it, but I would have not minded if this was just a standalone book and it was just like, yeah, I mean, does seem like a lot was left hanging, obviously, but that kind of seems like the kind of story we're telling here, right? But
Yeah.
I
Well, I mean,
understand it's all going somewhere though.
it also like the structure of the book is definitely episodic. Like it is a book about this character, but like I don't think there's like a driving plot through it really defined early and carried through to the end of the book. It's just like, here's a series of things that happened to Fitz over the course of his growing up, and yes, we resolved the most present one, which is like it really, I mean, the Galen stuff doesn't come in till about halfway into the book. The Verity, the Regal scheme doesn't come in until the very end of the book. We weren't like, it's not like at the very beginning of the book we knew that he was going to have to find some way to defeat his uncle. No, that comes in at the end of the book and is resolved. And so like I think that episodic format works. Yes, you're right. There are lots of outstanding questions, um, especially with the red ships and everything that's going on, and the deeper questions and mysteries of this world and these powers and things like that. But yeah, I mean, ultimately, like it it left me it left me wanting more, but in like the good way.
Yeah, yeah, me too. Yeah, I definitely, left the book with positive feelings, totally.
Yeah, yeah.
I have very
Um,
little negative to say about this book. It's not that I had nothing negative to say, but it's just like it all now seems so completely irrelevant that I don't even want to mention it. But now that I've said that, I guess I kind of have to. I guess I'll just say like the acceleration of things and the relative plottiness and intrigue of the final plot movement actually felt sort of jarringly dissonant with the rest of the story, which was again
Hmm.
this slow paced, coming of age, very grounded, very realistic. And then in the end, I was like satisfied by it as a narrative conclusion to the book, but it felt tonally different. Um, Not in a way that ruined anything for me. It was more of a sense of surprise of like, oh, now it's turning into a fantasy novel. Yeah.
Sure, I could see
I don't know
that.
if anybody feels me there. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
I don't know if I felt that, but I mean, you saying it, I could see it. One thing Aqua was mentioning that they'd be fine not continuing with the series.
mm,
That like they're not chomping at the bit to know the answers to any of those questions, the outstanding questions. And actually, I kind of agree with that. Like I'm not like my desire to want to continue with the series is not like I need to figure out what's going on. I need to figure out what's going on with the red ships. I need to figure out how bad Shrewd actually is, if Chivalry's still alive. Like really, the reason I want to continue with this book series is because I just want to kind of put my cozy blanket back on and be enveloped by these characters again and like just get
yeah.
to hang out with them again. I just really like that is the driving force of the story for me, is just like getting to hang out with these people. And I want to see like when Birch was like once again on death's door, which happens like three times in this book, I was like legitimately like, no, please don't kill this guy, please. I'm not ready to say goodbye to him yet. um
Yeah.
and I just felt that very specifically. And um that's why I want to read book two, is not
Hmm.
for the mystery, it's for the people, the characters.
Yeah. Um, I agree. We didn't talk too much about Verity. I think one cool thing about Verity, Verity surprised me, right?
Yes.
Verity, he seems like we first meet him and he seems, I don't know what the right word is, sort of shallow, and that's because Fitz's impression of him is shallow. I think we essentially know nothing about him, and so our impression is meaningless, really. And then eventually we learned that he's like this very noble and self-sacrificing man who is very much weighed down by his burdens, but nonetheless he soldiers on. Um,
John just
I,
called
I
said he's very Faramir coded, and that's just like pitch perfect. Yeah. Yeah.
sitting alone in a tower looking at the horizon all day. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah, I love the by the way, like I always love it when a magic system has a sort of pathos built right into it, and the idea of like, yeah, he's sort of the great wizard of this land, but what that actually means in practical terms is he just obsessively sits there all day, you know making people confused about where lighthouses are. And if he slips up for a single moment, then it'll cost the lives of his people.
Yeah.
So he's just like stuck doing this all the time, and it's miserable.
Yeah, I mean, I was ultimately surprised by him as well. I just didn't know I didn't know where to place him. I felt what I think Fitz felt, which was uncertainty and distrust at first.
Mhm.
And I think the book holds him at such arm's length. Like obviously we hated Regal from the very beginning. Like Fitz hates Regal from the very very beginning. He hates him. He finds him pompous and extravagant in the most annoying kind of way. And with Verity, he's just like, he seems like okay, but I'm not sure. And so that's kind of how I felt about him through the most of the book. And then yeah, you get to learn more about him, and you're like, whoa. And I love the reveal that he wrote down Fitz Chivalry Farseer like the first day.
Yeah,
The first
immediately.
day,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
That's like, oh my god. I like
yeah.
I out of any like surprise reveal in the later books, learning that Regal is not as upstanding and kind to Fitz as is being um, shown in this book would be like the most devastating
Yeah,
thing to me.
I would be able to
Actually,
handle it.
yeah, yeah. He's great. He's great. I loved the arguments with his father about the wedding and all that, and his frustration. I love that he uses Fitz's strength or in that moment, and then like swears he'll never do it again, because he's
Mhm.
so kind of horrified by taking so much from it. Like, yeah, he's awesome. He's awesome.
Mhm.
Please do
Yeah.
not break my heart, Verity. Please.
Yeah. I think the character now at this point that we have discussed the least relative to their importance has got to be Chade. Um,
Yeah.
we talked about Chade a little bit, obviously, but like the book is called The Assassin's Apprentice. So let's talk about the assassin, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Um, in some regards, we're meant to compare him with Fitz because he's the royal bastard who is being groomed to be the hidden blade of the throne, who serves the king but does it from the shadows and really does it without any sort of honor whatsoever.
Yeah.
Regal doesn't even know he exists, as
Yeah.
far as I can tell.
Yeah. I think we are just meant to fully believe that Regal just believes the whatever Thorns or whatever is the
Mhm.
assassin. That was
Yeah,
so funny. That was so funny that Trude kept that from his youngest son. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Incredibly, again, really it makes for a really interesting sort of character where it's like this incredible level of dedication and loyalty, bound up with an extreme level of skill, and by skill I mean like competence, and he's literally using you know like extremely powerful drugs to keep functional so that he can serve the king better. And what does he get in return? Like nothing at
Nothing.
all.
Yeah.
Like he lives in a wall. it's he's such an interesting character, and yet like this hasn't made him bitter or mean in any way. He's really a great uncle, big, much older brother figure to Fitz. That's kind of he's one of the many characters who is fascinating in part because of how little we know and understand about him and why he is the way he is. Um,
Yeah, and as you said, like we're being primed for like this Fitz is kind of one potential end for you is this is what you could end up being. And how should we feel about that, right? Like, is that on the one level, like he seems like he's doing okay. I mean, except for he's like dying and artificially keeping himself alive. But I don't know. Like it is this. You're absolutely right. It is fascinating that he's not become bitter. That he is still very very loyal, almost to a fault at times. Um,
yeah,
and yeah, I think the reason why I've talked about him the least is just what you said. Like I just don't. I'm not sure what to fully make of him yet.
mhm, yeah,
I don't know, but yeah, I mean, it is. I think you're right that the title being the Assassin's Apprentice, I think is really it's really attention getting because there's plenty of things you could call this book, but highlighting the assassination part, highlighting that part of Fitz's journey, I think is really interesting, and Jade is of course a big part of that. I
yeah,
I really loved the moment where they were desperately traveling, and he sees Jade, or realizes Jade is using the drug or whatever, um,
mhm,
and like Jade's trying to talk to him, and he's just like, but Birch says, but Birch says, and he's just like
mhm,
like he's just like, because this guy has become so important to him, and he's
yeah,
realizing that he's doing something that's going to fuck him up. Um,
yeah,
I love it just makes you like the reason why Fitz works so well as a character is because he just has just so much empathy for these parental figures in his life,
yeah,
and it's great.
yeah, yeah. And Shade is like, I am a high functioning cocaine addict. Okay, leave me alone.
It's
Um,
okay as long as I always have some,
right.
never stop
Yeah,
taking it. I will be fine.
yeah. Actually, maybe meth is a better analog, but um, Carson in the chat says, fun fact, it was originally going to be titled Chivalry's Bastard, um,
I guess they
which,
didn't love the idea of the word bastard being in the title of a book.
Yeah, I can understand that. We didn't say this out loud, but I definitely noticed the very much intended irony of the character named Chivalry, whose virtues, according to everyone, were that he was very chivalrous and, above board in all things, is the one who has the bastard. And
Yeah.
then, and then,
Chivalry's Bastard is a delightfully ironic
yeah,
name. I kind of wish
exactly.
the book was called that. Yeah, I mean, like I was struggling with what to say about the title of Assassin's Apprentice, and it's because obviously, like, the training towards assassination is like a big part of this book, and it is the what the climactic mission of the story is, certainly, but like that's such one small part of who Fitz is that it didn't feel like it fit perfectly.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I like the assassin training for sort of how not like assassin training it reads, except let me say that in a better way.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you're reading a fantasy novel, you expect a tropey, like, yes, to be an assassin, you learn the art of the blade, and yes, he learns how to use poison, obviously, but most of what he spends his time doing is like finding out information, learning how to talk to people, um, learning how to chat people up, learning how to like move around in ways that don't draw attention.
Mm-hmm.
Just like lots of things where even at the time it's unclear if Fitz even realizes that that what he's doing is like an exercise with a point to it. He's just kind of like, it seems like Chade's giving me a bunch of random chores to do,
Yeah. Yeah.
and you as the reader are sort of like, no, I can totally see how this would be useful if you had to infiltrate a place and not be noticed or not be remarked upon.
Yeah,
Um,
but also just teach you to be a person that is like well liked and respected
yeah,
too. Like
right.
it's very well done. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the other that's true. The book does sort of point out, I think, at one point that it's like everyone in the castle liked Fitz.
Yeah.
And it's like, why? And it's like, oh, it's because he's been constantly ordered to do all of these things that made him like a useful, friendly person to everyone.
Yeah, you're constantly
Um,
walking around the castle like asking people how they're doing and what they're up to and if they need any help with anything they're working on. Yeah, it turns
uh,
out that's a really kids at home. It's a real great way to endear yourself to people by
right.
just being kind and listening and attentive to them. Yeah.
Yeah, I wish I had an assassin teach me the ways of assassins because I'd be way more popular. Um,
Yeah. It's great stuff, man. It really is. I look forward to reading more of these books. I don't know, like, we've kind of collectively decided not to do sequels on book club anymore just because it's limiting to people that don't participate in the first one. So I don't know
mhm.
if we'll come back and do like a book club episode on these next two books. Maybe we will. I don't know. Um, but I'm definitely going to be reading them. I don't know when that's going to happen, but it's definitely going to happen.
Yeah, for my part, I'll probably wait. I'll probably intentionally wait some time because I can see what would happen if I didn't wait.
Hmm.
It would be like taking too much of that route that Chade is taking.
Yeah. Just too much being in a doggy. It's
Yep.
not good for you.
Yeah. All right. I think we hit all the major things I wanted to hit
Yeah.
upon.
Yeah. Um yeah, I mean, John, I don't think we do I don't think we do this show for the audience, but um what I'll say is what I'll say is we've been noticing that sequels are not performing well in our monthly polls generally. Um
Yeah.
Kind of
I mean,
across the board.
it's just if you weren't if a person wasn't interested in the first one, the odds are lower they're going to be interested in the second one, and so you're just winnowing away your population of people who are interested in attending, and it's
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
and I see it also as like a an excuse for us to stretch our breadth, right?
Mhm.
Like that's one of the things I love about the book club is all these books that I've now read that I probably never would have read ever. Um, and if you read the first one in a series and you really like it, then sure, go off and read it on your own. That's what I do sometimes.
Yeah, I'm still mad that I haven't read the first Law books like you have, but or
Yeah.
not the first. Wait. They're
I
Abercrombie
know
books, whatever that's called.
that. Yeah, um, they might be called the First Law, but
Is it?
yeah, the Blade
First
itself.
Law
Blade,
trilogy. Oh,
I
they
think they're
are.
called.
Yeah, I was right.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
cool. Yeah, I really enjoyed that first one, and then I never read the other two, and I want to.
yeah, yeah. Those are quite something.
Yeah, Hobb and George R. R. Martin are friends. He wrote a nice little blurb on her book.
That's cool.
Fantasy as it ought to be written. Robin Hobb's books are diamonds in a sea of zircons. Cool, George.
Yeah,
You dork.
just put every other fantasy author releasing books in that time on blast. Thanks, man.
Including himself.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. I think that is going to do it for us and for Assassin's Apprentice. Thank you, everyone who voted for this book. Like I said, I loved it. It was such a joy to read, and I can't wait to check out the next two. And then maybe, hang around with Robin a little bit more after that.
Yeah. And now for something completely different.
So Matt, let's remind everyone, maybe the people that showed up late, next month is our We Pick 'em, and it's Matt's turn. So Matt has selected a book for us all to read in September. Matt, what did you pick?
I'm gonna. Okay, I'll say it and then I'll explain. The book I've selected is Permutation City.
Oh, okay.
The 1994 science fiction novel by Greg Egan.
Mm-hmm. Please read a brief summary of what the book is about, please.
Explores many concepts, including quantum ontology, through various philosophical aspects of artificial life and simulated reality.
Mm-hmm.
Asks whether there is a difference between a computer simulation of a person and a real person, etc. So this is a book where, like, I tell people the kind of books that I've liked and the books that I say are my favorites, and then they're like, "Oh yes," and then of course you've read a lot of Greg Egan, and I'm like, no, not so much. So, and then Permutation City is generally the one that people mention first. I'm sure there's other great Greg Egan stuff. I don't know. I've read other Greg Egan stuff. I've read Wang's Carpets, and I've not. And I think I might have read Diaspora. I think that might be it. But anyway, point being, I'm going on too long here. The point was that this is a book that has been recommended to me far too many times, and so I need to read it. So this is my excuse.
Yeah. All right. And we're all being taken along for the ride. Let's enjoy it, folks. I'm sure it's going to be great. I'm sure it will lead to wonderful conversations between all of us next month. Speaking of which, so normally we would meet 4 weeks from today, which would put it on the 3rd of October. Unfortunately, I'm going to be out of town that weekend. I'm going to Philadelphia to watch my Philadelphia Eagles play a football game. That's my wife's present to me for my 40th birthday party. So we're going to spend the weekend in Philly and have some fun there. So I will not be there. I think we don't want to shorten up the book club because we want to give people sufficient time to read the book. So we're just going to push it by a week. It's going to be the 10th of October where we will meet to read to talk about Permutation City. So you have plenty of time. You got 5 weeks to get through this. What I'm sure is going to be a quick and easy read.
Yeah. Sounds breezy.
So just for everyone that's also participating in Flanagan's Wake, we are going to spend an entire month reading Henry James, notoriously verbose and confounding author to get through, while also at the same time reading hard science fiction. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great.
So mix in some quantum ontology with your ghost stories. I think that'll make for a nice mix.
It's gonna be great. It's gonna be perfect. We're gonna have so much fun. I can't wait.
I know we will.
So yeah, that's another good thing to say. If you don't follow our other show, Flanagan's Wake, we are about to dive into Henry James. We are reading The Turn of the Screw right now, and that episode will be premiering in a couple weeks. And then we're going to be jumping into some James short stories for the weeks following that, all in preparation for our 9-part series covering Mike Flanagan's The Haunting of Bly Manor. So if you also want to read some 19th century Gothic horror, pick up some Henry James and tag along with us on Flanagan's Wake. It's going to be fun.
Yeah. All right. If you like what we do here at Doof Media and you want to support us, head on over to our Patreon at patreon.com/doofmedia and consider donating to support our organization. At any available level, you'll get access to the vote for the books that we talk about each month, except for the books when Matt picks Permutation City.
Yep.
And other than that, you'll get a bunch of other cool exclusive features, so go check it out.
Yeah, and if you have any questions or comments or just want to reach out to us and say, hey, you can always find us via email at doofmedia@gmail.com, on X at doofmedia, on Instagram at doofmedia, and on our subreddit, reddit.com/r/doofmedia. So yeah, come find us there. Come say hey. Come share your opinions on Assassin's Apprentice or whatever the next book is called. I forget. Doesn't matter. I'm going to pick it up. I really like these new editions that they made too. I like the look of this book. It was a joy to hold, and so you didn't get any of that, Matt, because you did fake reading. So sorry you missed.
I did fake reading, yeah, but it did have a good audiobook reader, so
cool.
that was good.
Cool. All right, folks, have a good rest of your weekend. I just heard some very loud thunder here, so I hope my power doesn't go out. But have a good one, folks, and we'll see you in 5 weeks for Permutation City. I can't wait.
Good night.
Good night.